Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm back with the opposition view for Bournemouth against Everton at the Vitality Stadium. Today I'm joined by Craig from the UTCIAD podcast. How are we doing, Craig?
Yeah, all good, Ellis, and thank you so much for having me on.
No worries. We've had a bit of a break since the recent game. Everton haven't played for 3 weeks. Bournemouth haven't played for 2.5 weeks now. So a time
Yep,
to recharge, a time to reset ahead of the crucial running, the crucial final few games in the Premier League season. Not quite as
yes,
nervy for you as it is for us, but loads to talk about nonetheless. So I'll just start looking at Bournemouth, sat 13th in the table. Pretty
yep.
comfortable now after at the start of the season. It looks really worrying for you guys. So tell us how you're feeling as a Bournemouth fan.
Do you know what? I'm absolutely delighted with how it is at the moment. And there can't be two contrasting differences in how I feel. Of course, when we come up to Goodison earlier on in the season, we got beat 3-0. And I've got to be honest, that was one of our worst performances I've seen from us in the Premier League. There was mistakes at the back. The players just seemed all disconnected. I even said at that point that Iriola should be sacked. I just didn't feel that his style was working. I didn't feel, the pass, control of the game. Oh, we've lost it. Oh, we've conceded. It just wasn't working for me. To be honest, though, it's good that happened that game because what it meant is we've gone a lot more direct. We had to. There was no other way. We couldn't continue playing like that for the rest of the season. To be honest, we wouldn't have because Iriola would have been sacked not long after. Um, but we have gone more direct. There's more impetus in us. And that's got some really good results. Everything has all come together. I'm not one of these people that, am a believer that Iriola's style, that he just persisted with it and it's come right, and it's just clicked all of a sudden. I think he has changed it and gone that direct, which has got the results. But he's shown, in the most recent game against Luton, that, he's making sensible decisions. He's making good decisions. This is one thing that was probably pointed at Gary O'Neill, who I was a big fan of. I've got to be honest. I think that Gary O'Neill within our fan base come under a lot of flack, but I think one of the things that could be aimed at him is that sometimes his substitutions weren't that great. Um, Iriola has shown, when we were 3-0 down against Luton, which again was a very, very poor performance at that point. He made the changes that he needed to. He brought on Marcus Tavernier, and the game flipped. And the game completely flipped. Don't get me wrong. I think Luton were getting tired. They were getting leggy. But at the same time, there was a whole difference in that style, a whole difference in the way that the team approached that second half. So I'm happy with how it's going. I don't think we are particularly in our peak at the moment. I think our peak was around the time when we played Manchester United, so around the Christmas period. Since the start of the new year, I don't think we've been particularly good. We went up to Burnley. We did win, but it wasn't a great performance. But at the same time, I think, Iriola is a good manager. Still learning bits about his team here, but yeah, I'm very, very happy. And to be honest, 35 points at this stage of the season, no concerns of being relegated. Better than what I expected, to be honest, mate.
That's fantastic to be able to feel like you're pretty much safe at this part of the season. I know Evertonians wish we could feel like that. And it's weird to see how the seasons have gone since the game at Goodison Park where we beat you 3-0, because at that point we looked at it going, wow, they have completely played into our hands here. So naive from the manager. And
Yeah,
Iraola seemed to just play to our strengths, and we ended up keeping the press high and just punishing you at most opportunities, really. So that
yeah,
day was great for us. But you look back now and think, we've only won twice at home since then, and that was in the same week. So it's kind
yeah,
of changed for us a bit, but it's also improved for you guys. Dominic Solanke, of course, hit complete form, and he's now a different player to what we've seen in the years before that, and obviously a real threat against Everton at the weekend. But I think seeing Bournemouth now in this position, you must be really pleased because Gary O'Neill's sacking at the time was a surprise for a lot of
Yeah,
non-Bournemouth fans and maybe Bournemouth fans too. But Iriol has come in, and like you say, it seems like he's adapted rather than just persisted. And it's one of the key strengths for a manager. If they can adapt in certain situations and then change the team, then that's what you want, isn't it? And it is demonstrated by the stats as well. I saw a stat earlier on that for accurate long passes, Everton are, of course, in the top five, but so are Bournemouth. And that surprised me
yeah,
a little bit because I don't watch you as closely. But seeing that you are starting to mix it up a bit, maybe that's what's helped you get results. And going into this game now, you could say that if you get one more win, you are safe, really, as well. That'd be very much safe to say. But Everton can't say that, unfortunately. And we've now gone 11 games without a win. So we're really, really needing this one. And we're going into it off the back of a 3 week break. We've had to mull over this long, barren run without wins. And it's
yeah.
now time to get that first one. So this game, I can't even overstate how much that we need to win this game. It's so important just to set the tone for those final 10 games. And it means everything to Everton. But I want to hear your thoughts on Everton this season because we've had a really interesting season, I imagine, to the non-Everton fan. It's been difficult for us, but we've had
Yeah.
10-point deduction reduced to 6. We're now facing a second charge, and we've also gone 11 games without a victory. We had 4 on the bounce earlier on in the season, and we're looking great. It's been a roller coaster for us, but what's it look like from the outside perspective?
Let me firstly say I do not agree with the points deductions for Everton. And in fact, I made a video at the time where I was fuming about it because I feel that, of course, Everton have been stung for the COVID year, coming out of COVID. That has had an effect on the finances and the PSR. Manchester City and Chelsea have done a lot worse. Where's their points deduction? You know, we're now talking about Forest, we're talking about Leicester. There's been murmurings. Well, there was even murmurings of Bournemouth, although our finances, 44 million profit, you know, is means that we're absolutely fine. And it was just talk. But I bet every fan base up and down the country are talking about, you know, are we going to get a points deduction? What's going to happen? You know, likewise, the I think it is so late in the season, you know, a second charge is ridiculous. And then if you appeal that charge, it could be a week after the season. I think Richard Masters has to resign because it is complete and utter mess. But yeah, I'll get off my soapbox, but I think it is really unfair what's happened to Everton. I'll admit I've got a bit of a soft spot for your football club, but by the by. But with regards to Everton this season, it's been an interesting one. Earlier on in the season, when we played you, we did play right into your hands. Like you say, I don't think particularly Everton, and I know this sounds stupid, you know, considering we were beaten 3-0. I don't think particularly that you played great that game. You know, I did at the start of the season, and you know, I didn't want this to happen, but I did say I can't see Everton, you know, surviving because of, you know, the issues. But there's a real heart in the team. There's a kind of defy the odds. Sean Dyche has got the team playing well. Um, you know, I think there's been some really good business that he's done. He's had to do things on a shoestring. Tarkowski, I think, you know, is excellent at the back. Of course, you've got Pickford in goal, you know, best goalkeeper, you know, in the country. You know, I think this could be an argument for Ramsdale, but again, I might be being biased because, of course, he's a former Bournemouth player. But
Fair day, I'd say it's Pickford.
I think probably at this moment in time, Pickford, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think Everton have done, you know, very well. You know, considering there was a spell, wasn't there, after that points deduction, where he got some wins which you didn't expect or wouldn't expect. So I think there is that rallying and that togetherness in the team. I think maybe that has, kind of dropped off a little bit recently. I think there's a bit of tiredness. Of course, coming off the back of an international break, we might see, the Everton that were playing so well, after that points deduction again. Because with the talk of that second charge, I think the players know how important it is to play for Everton. You know, um, Massive club has never been, relegated from the Premier League, the longest stint in the Premier League in history. Um, a club that shouldn't be in this situation. But I know I'm not just saying this because I'm here, but the thing is as a football club, you shouldn't be in this situation. But I feel that you have been treated badly by the Premier League, and PSR is designed really for the top six clubs. It's really designed for the top six clubs, which is completely unfair. But I think Sean Dyche has done well considering the cards he's been thrown, really, mate.
I think that's a fair assessment, and I imagine Evertonians would resonate with a lot of what you've said. It has been a difficult season, and I suppose the hand that he's been dealt has been a really tough one to deal with. And
Yeah,
there has been growing frustrations in recent months because the longer you go without a win, it just spirals, doesn't it? And you can imagine how
yeah,
that just does worry the fans a little bit because with 10 games to go, they're starting to think, well, where are these wins going to come from? And the first one, it's got to be against Bournemouth on Saturday. And the games that we have left are quite favourable, really. We're in a position this year where we're faced with a relegation battle, which in theory, in terms of points accumulated, we shouldn't be in. But looking at it, we can still get out of it. And it's still a situation which I would say is in our hands. We've got some very favourable
yeah.
home games left. We've got Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, and Burnley all to play at home. We've got you guys and Luton away, which we should be looking at trying to get something at least. And this game just would be the trigger to get it all going and get us moving back in the right direction and just bring that confidence to the players. And the big thing will be scoring goals and seeing that Luton put three past you in the game before the international break should give us a bit
Yeah.
of confidence. Yes, they crumbled, and that is probably going to happen to a team that maybe is still a bit naive, probably hasn't got the legs to fulfill it, a game like that that was so intense. And your quality did show in the end, but you have conceded a lot of goals. And for a team that doesn't score many,
Yeah.
that's reassuring for us. And you might think on paper we're this extremely solid side. We haven't been of late. So I think this game's going to be interesting because it'll be almost like attack versus defense, really, because we've conceded fewer goals than you, but barely scored anywhere near. You've scored a lot more, but then you concede a lot more as well. So it's an interesting prospect, this game. What are you thinking for how the actual individual match will go, and who are the players we should be looking out for on your side?
I think one player that, has really, really shone is Anton Semenyo. Very, very quick player. Strong. His crossing is excellent. He partners with Solanke, and he has found, you know, he's got an eye for a goal. He scored, against, he scored two actually against Luton. So, it shows that he's quality. He's quality, Semenyo. Before he actually arrived at the club, I because I heard about it a little bit beforehand, and I thought, well, is this really a signing we want to happen? At Bristol City, he blew a little bit hot and cold. One game he could be unplayable, next game goes completely missing. He's been consistent here and he's really shone through. So he is probably the one player at the moment, to look out for. Solanke has got a little bit of an injury. I noticed in the game against Luton, even though he got a goal, he kept holding I think it was his left leg, his left knee. I believe, he's waiting till the summer to actually have some sort of surgery. I believe that's what I believe. But I think there's issues there, there's challenges there. But then again, you know, we've got we haven't got many options up front. We've got Enitu now. Um, who we signed, on loan. He's no doubt going to be signed permanently in the summer. I think, he does offer something a little bit different, but I think sometimes from what I've seen so far, he complements Solanke rather than replaces him. So up front, I'm a little bit concerned, with our striking options. At the back, defensively, Senesi, fingers crossed, should be fit for this game. He's
Very good
been excellent.
defender.
He's been a rock. Oh yeah, definitely. And linked up with Zabani, what I what I felt, against Luton, and Bournemouth, some other Bournemouth fans might disagree with me on this, is I feel that when Zabani is linked up with Chris Metham at the back, I feel that because Zabani is a young player, he's got a lot of quality, great prospect. I just don't feel that Metham covers him as well as Senesi does. And that's why I think it'll be good if Zabani and Senesi are together rather than Metham. Metham, I do question whether or not, he's a player that's always there. He gives his all. Is he up to the quality of the Premier League? I'm not so sure. So Senesi coming back would be great, but I'm very, very happy with how it's gone this season. Do keep in mind Alex Scott as well, another signing from Bristol City actually was highly, highly rated. I think at times I think it's probably fair to say he's a little bit raw in the way he plays, but I think he's getting there. He's a player that I think will keep growing, keep getting better. And I wouldn't be surprised, that the fee that we paid for him, which was 25 million, we double that in, a couple of years' time, selling him to one of the big six. So yeah, overall, I think, it's a good side. And, there is a lot of threats defensively. And probably one thing I would say, our weakness is probably our goalkeeper at the moment. Unfortunately, Neto, he's not the greatest in coming for crosses. He'll choose to punch out, which
I
then,
remember this, I think, from the game at Goodison. I remember that being a struggle.
yeah, he's done some stupid things this season. And the thing is, a goalkeeper, if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it normally results in an opposition goal. So it's always the hardest position to play because you know that it's going to come down on you. You're going to have your critics. He probably has made too many errors for my liking this season. Yes, he did make a mistake up at Goodison. He made a mistake, not long after in the Wolves game, which was, if any Everton fans want to watch it, it is comical. Comical. So basically, Phil Billing has stood in front of Neto. Neto has passed it to Phil Billing. I can't remember the player who took it off him, and it was 1-2 in the back of the net. Absolute ridiculous goal to give away. So yeah, goalkeeping stakes. I would like to see Mark Travers come back in eventually and to start blend because Travers was sent out on loan. I think his confidence completely went after that 9-0 thrashing at your dear neighbours. I don't want to call
We
it.
don't
I
talk
don't want
about
to say.
that. We
Yeah,
don't
let's
mention
not
that.
talk about. Yeah, let's not mention their name. But yeah, to be honest, yeah, I think Neto, good goalkeeper, good experience. I think Travers probably needs to start getting molded into the side because Neto's not getting any younger either.
That could be really useful for us if your goalkeeper struggles with crosses because Everton are going to pile the cross
Yes.
in. You know they are corners, set
exactly.
pieces. That's going to be something we're going to target. And I imagine
Yes.
if we've been working on anything for these 3 weeks, I imagine set pieces will be one of them. And making sure we get that ball right into where Neto is, that's got to be a priority for us. That's going to be maybe the way we get that first goal, which does define a lot of games for us. If we can get that, get ahead, we'll have a much better chance. Whereas when we go behind, it's just suddenly that feeling again of, oh, it's all going to happen again. But even if we go ahead, you've got that worry now, seeing what you guys did to Luton. So this game
Yeah.
is going to be a very, very difficult one for us. We've never won at the Vitality Stadium in the Premier League as well. You've always had
Mm,
one against us, haven't you? I remember that game where it ended 3-3 and we thought we'd won it in the 90 plus 4 minute or something. And then 90 plus 8
yes.
Junior Stanislas pops up. We'd celebrated in the fans, Ross Barkley, Funes Mori in the fans, and then you guys come up the other end. It's like we're cursed at the Vitality. We can't win there in the Premier League. So surely that makes you a bit more confident as well.
Yeah, I to be honest, I remember that game very, very well. And of course, we had the two games last season, the Vitality.
Oh, don't talk
You
about
know,
them.
wow.
I
To be
went to the
perfectly
first one,
honest,
6 hour
yeah.
journey.
Oh, honestly, mate. I've got to be honest. And I hope Everton fans don't hate me for saying this, but you know, Everton were the poorest side that we played last season at that point. At that point, of course, turn it round, you know, you were one of the three weakest sides, which is a good thing. But at that point, I thought I can't see any hope. It was shocking. But yeah, like you say, you haven't got a great record at the Vitality. Um, and to be honest, we had a decent record at Goodison Park until fairly recently. Of course, the 3-0 this season, and then the 1-0 last season, last game of the season, which, to be honest, Decore, great goal, great
It's always going
goal.
to go one way that day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did say, and to be honest, I think I predicted. No, I don't think I did predict it right. I said that Leeds were going to win, Leicester were going to get beat, and Everton was going to win. So, to be honest, I could see it happening. We was on a run of three defeats after the Leeds game. I think Gary O'Neill. This is one fault failing that of his is he kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit towards the end. I'm not saying that, in that last game of the season, I think, that was the best of the four games that we played, but I feel that he took his foot off the gas a little bit. Um, so, yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. Whereas Iriola has already come out and said, we're going to try and move ourselves up the table and further and further. So I don't think there's going to be any of that. I think, Bournemouth will be going out there to win this game. But if we do, is another thing because, like you say, defensively, we're not great. We have conceded a lot of goals, and personally, I think the winner of the game is going to be the team that gets the first goal. So traditionally I've already done my preview, but I've gone for a 0-0, to be honest. I think we'll
Wow.
just cancel each other out. I honestly do. I honestly can see that happening.
Well, I suppose Evertonians might take that. It would be one of those where it's at least we've not lost, but not scoring would be a big worry for us. I was just going to ask you for your prediction, so straight in
Yeah,
already, and you aren't backing your own team on our channel, which is interesting. So I'm going to back our team, and we're going to come back firing and finally get that win because I just can't go on any longer. I'm just sick of not winning football matches. We're going to get a 2-1 victory. I think it'd be hard to keep you out. I imagine Semenyo will be on it. Obviously, every time I
yeah,
watch him, really talented player, can strike a ball really well too. And if Solanke plays, it could be all down to which strikers play. If Solanke's fit, that's a big one for you. 15 Premier League goals this season. Everton, is it Beto? Is it Calvert-Lewin? No one knows quite yet who Sean Dyche is going to pick. Both
yeah,
offer their own benefits, really. Dom hasn't scored in a while, but offers you a lot in terms of hold up play. Better is that unpredictability and has been on slightly better goal scoring form. So be interesting to see how it goes. But before we wrap it all up, I've got a few random quick fire questions for
go
you.
on
Is
then.
that all right?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Ellis.
Right, so we'll start with your Premier League predictions. So I want your Premier League winner. I want to know where Bournemouth are finishing, and I want your bottom three. Go for it.
Right. So I think the Premier League winner, don't hate me. I think it's going to
Um,
be Liverpool. I think it's going to be Liverpool. I think it's written in the stars. Klopp's going to end, you know, with a title win. So yeah, unfortunately, they're going to be going on about it for the next 20 years.
probably.
Yeah. With regards to where we're going to finish, um, I think I think we could get in the top half, but I think we'll just miss out on that. I think we'll probably finish 11th. Bottom three, well, Sheffield United and I think Burnley are gone, even though Burnley is showing us a little bit of resistance. I think, Sheffield United, we played them recently. We were terrible that day. Yeah, do keep in mind, I think those two are gone. Who else is going to go? To be honest, it's changing by the day. I think it's probably going to be between. Well, it's most definitely going to be between Luton, yourselves, and Forest. I did say a couple of weeks back I thought it was going to be Everton because of the points deduction, but I don't. I think Forest are a little bit rattled. Um, I'm going to be nice to you guys. I'm going to say Forest. I'm going to say Forest. I think Luton. I think Luton will pull themselves clear just. I think it's going to be a last day of the season thing, which I'm sure Sean Dyche will be aiming to avoid.
I really hope it's not. We're sick of those last couple of game deciders. Second to last game of the season, 2 seasons ago,
Yeah.
last game last year. We want it done by April at least. Just get it done by then. Let us go into them last few games like you have done for the last year or so. We can just go and just enjoy the rest of the football. That's what we want to do. But before you go as well, best and
Yeah.
worst moment as a Bournemouth fan.
Um, well, we have been on such a journey, have been on such a journey, but the
You're right.
worst moment, the very, very lowest moment has to be, and to be honest, it was probably the moment that changed everything. Because without this, I don't think we'd be where we are. And that is being beaten by Blythe Spartans in the FA Cup under Jimmy Quinn. Jimmy Quinn, who was very famous for walking his dog around the perimeter of the pitch whilst the players were training. I can't say that that's 100% fact, but that's what I've been told. So that has to be the worst moment. You know, from there, it's been up. It's all been up. Of course, we look like we were going out the football league at that point as well. Um, the best moment, you know, most definitely has to be reaching the dizzy heights that we did in our second season, in the Prem. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can at some point eclipse that. We can get ourselves into Europe. If you said to me now, would I want Europe this season? I, I don't think so. The reason being is I don't think we're ready for it. And look at what's happened with Wolves and teams like that once they've got Europe. But give it a couple of seasons. It'll be nice to go to the furthest corner of Moldova on a Thursday night, following AFC Bournemouth to a stadium which is probably smaller than Dean Court, and yeah, watching our team, well, potentially get beat away at that, but at least it won't be Blythe Spartans. Can assure you
It
that.
won't be minus 17 as well, is it? Eddie had a dream of
Exactly.
minus 17.
Yes. Yeah.
I've had some
Well, to be
moments.
honest, without Blythe Spartans and without that season, Eddie wouldn't have been here. Eddie's save turned it round. I think if we had gone out the Football League, I don't think this football club would exist. In all honesty,
With
I
that.
don't think this football club would exist. I think, earlier on that season, there was bailiffs at the door, taking all the stock out the club shop. Jeff Mostyn was having to put his own personal money in to keep us afloat. So yeah, I think that would have all ran out. And even Jeff Mostyn, if anybody, does want to have a watch of the whole story, search for -17 on YouTube. You'll find a video all about our story. Jeff Mostyn was actually advised to run as far away as possible from Bournemouth, but luckily he stuck his hand in his pocket and look at where we are now.
Fair play, mate. What a journey that is. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Not a problem at all, Ellis. My pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.
No worries, but that is all from the opposition view today. Everton are finally back on Saturday at 3 p.m. Hopefully, we can beat Bournemouth and finally win at the Vitality in the Premier League. Let us know your score predictions. Let us know what you think as well. Do you think we can finally score some goals and keep Bournemouth out, who are free scoring? Can we do it? We'll see. But that's all for now. Like and subscribe. See you in a bit.